We are very happy to be in this important study hall. The rabbi of this place, Rabbi Tzvi Yehuda, thank God, a wise man whose wisdom shines on his face. May there be, with God's help, salvation, joy, and great success. Rabbi Natan ben Shlomo, may the Holy One, blessed be He, grant Rabbi Natan joy and success, enlightenment, great light, satisfaction, and all good things. With God's help, we are going and entering into the Torah. Adar is here. When Adar enters, we increase in joy. What does it mean to increase in joy? We said on Thursday in the lesson in New York, it doesn't necessarily mean that we only become more joyful ourselves when Adar comes in, that we personally feel happier. Yes, we do become happier, but increase in joy means that every person should increase, should bring joy to everyone, and should try not only to be happy themselves, but to increase joy for others. Now, if there's someone you have an issue with, speak to them more kindly. Help him. Do you want to be happy? Not only should you be happy yourself, increase joy, spread more joy around you, spread more goodness around you. The moment you spread more goodness around you, then you are increasing joy. This is the special power of the month of Adar, that we increase in joy. The month of Adar has this, and even more so, Adar Bet, the second Adar. Now we are at the beginning of the month of Adar Bet. We have a few more days, the 7th of Adar, the day of the passing of Moshe Rabbeinu. In this month, we have many lofty things, many truly great things. First of all, let us begin and say, remember what Amalek did to you from under the heavens, from generation to generation. Do not forget. What is this remembrance of Amalek? We also expanded on this on Thursday, about everything that Amalek did to us, and what this remembrance of Amalek is. What does it mean to remember? What is the matter of the commandment that the Torah commands us to remember? What is memory? What is folly? What is memory? And why, on Purim, are we obligated to drink, required to become intoxicated, something we are not obligated to do on any other holiday? Even on Passover, when we drink 4 cups of wine, we do not have this remembrance. We do not have the matter of drinking until we become drunk. On Purim, of course, there is the debate between the Rama and the Beit Yosef about how much one must drink and what one must drink. And from this topic, let us enter and say, what are the rulings of the Rama? In the introduction to his book, the Rama writes about the rulings regarding when the turn of Esther, daughter of Mordecai, came. What does it mean when the turn of Esther, daughter of Mordecai, came? So, the Rama writes in his introduction that when it came time for the separation of Chala, when the Rama wrote all his commentary on the Talmud and on Jewish law, he did not know that the Beit Yosef was also writing. He did not know that the Sephardim as well. Rabbi Yosef, our master Rabbi Yosef, was sitting in the land of Israel in Safed and writing a great and comprehensive commentary on Jewish law. Everyone knows the story of Rabbi Yosef. Rabbi Yosef lived abroad, and one year on the holiday of Shavuot, he heard the Mishnah Maggid, who would speak to him in the language of the Mishnah. For in all the Mishnah, the Maggid, the angelic messenger who would speak with him, said to him and to Rabbi Shlomo Alkabetz, leave the diaspora and go up to the land of Israel. And then Rabbi Yosef. Yosef went up to Safed, and at that time, Safed had a total population of only 5,000 people. That was the entire size of Safed in those days. And among those 5,000 people, within a distance of 1 to 1.5 kilometers, lived Rabbi Yosef Karo, Rabbi Shlomo Alkabetz, our master the Holy Ari, Rabbi Isaac Luria, Rabbi Shlomo, Rabbi Moshe Cordovero, Rabbi Elazar Hakiler. All the greats of that era lived there. They were all great sages. Within 1.5 kilometers, among those 5,000 people, that was all there was. And the entire flourishing of Safed lasted between 40 to 70 years. That was the whole period of Safed's greatness. During that time, all the foundations of Kabbalah, all the foundations of Jewish law, the Shulchan Aruch, Rabbi Yosef Karo, all the foundations of Halacha came out of that 1.5 kilometers over the course of 40 to 70 years, with 5,000 people concentrated in one place. Arriving in Safed, the Beit Yosef began to rise and elevate himself. He was a great Kabbalist, a halachic authority, and also a businessman. Initially, he worked an hour daily, but then he said, "Why work every day? I'll go once a week, then monthly, and eventually just once a year." One day he decided, "Whatever I find first, I'll buy," and he went out to buy. A certain widow came, her husband had died, and she was cursing her husband. She said, "I used to think he was rich, but he left nothing. He didn't leave me any money. Where is the money he had?" She wanted to sell. What did she want to sell? 9 barrels filled with tar. "How much money?" She said, "How much money?" The Beit Yosef said, "Take as much as you want," and he paid her. He brought the barrels to his house. He heated up all the tar in the fire. He found there precious stones, pearls, diamonds, immense wealth. He went. The Beit Yosef went to that woman to tell her, "I bought tar, I didn't buy diamonds, I didn't buy precious stones, I didn't buy anything else, so why should I return this to you?" That woman said, "I don't want to hear anything." She cursed, she shouted, she didn't want to listen to anything. The Beit Yosef went to the rabbinical court and asked what to do. They told him, "It's yours." The Beit Yosef kept it, and from this he became wealthy, settled down in peace, and wrote the entire Shulchan Aruch. And just as the Maggid used to say to Rabbi Yosef Karo, you will be as great as a Tana," he sat and elevated himself, and he was like a Tana, the Beit Yosef. And then, when it came to the section of Esther Bat Mordecai, he writes, when he reached the halasha in the Tur that deals with the laws of Chala, he heard that Rabbi Yosef Karo had already written a full commentary on the Shulchan Aruch. So he sat and hesitated and said, "Listen, if I write another commentary on the halakha, what will come of it for me? For after all, the Beit Yosef has already written a commentary on the halakha. What will I gain from this?" Then he said, and he brings there several explanations for why he does it. He sat and said, "I'm not doing this to argue with anyone. After all, the Rama, we are in an Ashkenazi synagogue. The Rama, at what age was he chosen to be the rabbi of Krakow? At what age? At age 16, the Rama became the rabbi of Krakow. 16 years old. He passed away at 32. Some say 38, some say 33. That was the age at which he passed away. And at 16 he sat down and achieved what no one else had. He wrote the entire commentary. And it is known that the Sephardic commentary, the Sephardic halacha, tends to follow a single line, whereas Ashkenazi halacha, every rabbi had his own community. Every Hasidic group had its own commentaries, its own laws. And the Rama, more or less, gathered and unified all the Ashkenazim onto one path, one approach, one ruling. Those who followed the Rama took everything and unified it into a single ruling. And one of the arguments he has with the Beit Yosef is one of the things that distinguishes Sephardic rulings from Ashkenazi rulings. What is one of the differences? Sephardic rulings, as Rabbi Yosef Karo rules in Halacha, he places 3 early authorities before him, the Rif, the Rosh, and the Rambam. And he says, whatever 2 of them rule, I rule accordingly. He follows the majority opinion. For example, if the Rambam and the Rif agree, or the Rambam and the Rosh, or the Rosh and the Rif, I follow them. So, in effect, he sets all the halakot for himself, placing these 3 rabbis, the Rambam, the Rif, and the Rosh, before him, and whatever 2 of them say, he follows the majority. That's how he rules in halacha. This is the ruling method of the Beit Yosef. And one of the Rama's arguments is that in several places he doesn't actually do this. He brings several examples where he doesn't follow this approach. And another thing, so in all Sephardic halakhic rulings, they refer to the Rishonim and look at what the Rishonim say, and that is how they rule in halakha, even though the Rosh was actually Ashkenazi. The Rosh was Ashkenazi, but he was in a Sephardic environment and ruled on halasha there. So generally speaking, this is the approach of the Beit Yosef. This is how the Beit Yosef rules. The Rama says no. We don't need to refer to the Rishonim for everything. We also need to see what the Akaronim of the most recent generation have said, what the latest generation. Unfortunately, the original recorded audio segment contains a mix of Hebrew, Korean, and English. But the recording is extremely and heavily corrupted and remains largely unintelligible. Because the content lacks coherence, it is impossible to provide a meaningful or accurate translation of the specific spoken words and phrases at this time. From a broad perspective, among the Sephardim, we say that, so to speak, in the Mishnah, this is the oral Torah, and there more or less, the oral Torah stopped. From the Mishnah, the Gemara, and all the Geonim, the Rishonim, and the Acharonim, they are all just commentators who explain to us that same oral Torah, which is the Mishnah. So, the more you want to rule in matters of Jewish law, the higher you go, the closer you get to the Gemara, the closer you get to the Rishonim, the closer you get to the head, the closer you get to the Rambam, the better. This segment contains unintelligible, corrupted text in multiple languages and cannot be accurately translated. Please provide a clear segment. Perhaps the narrator made a mistake. It mentions a guru, Kazakhstan, white writing and balm. It's terrestrial, for whales, flowers, and faith. There are mentions of orders, exchange, policing, resources, scarcity, and more. Please clarify. Looking at the halachic rulings of the Sephardim, the Mishnah is the oral Torah, and certainly the Gemara is also the oral Torah, and certainly the Geonim are also the oral Torah. Surely all of them are the oral Torah. But the power of the Mishnah, so if you look, the Beit Yosef, who was that Maggid who spoke with him? The Mishnah. The Mishnah, the oral Torah, the Mishnah was the Maggid who spoke with him, and this Mishnah told him, go to the land of Israel, and go and write the Shulchan Aruch, and go and spread your teachings throughout the world, and you will be, and you will reach, and you will go. Who is this Mishnah? It is the oral Torah. So, as it were, among the Sephardim, even though this is not explicitly written anywhere that we know and remember, but in some way the oral Torah is in the Mishnah, and the Gemara explains the Mishnah, and the Savorim explain the Gemara, and afterwards the Geonim explain the... Everything proceeds, and it is all discussions and debates on that same thing. Various debates on that same oral Torah, which is the foundational text known as the Mishnah. And according to the traditional Ashkenazi approach, it was not accepted. The oral Torah, which is primarily embodied in the Mishnah. And according to the traditional Ashkenazi approach, no, the oral Torah certainly did not end with the completion of the Gemara. Instead, the oral Torah continues to evolve, finding its ongoing expression and samadhi through the generations. Rather, for us, every study hall sits and innovates new insights. Wherever we sit and study Torah, wherever we engage in debate, we are building upon the true new Torah that will emerge. We are building upon a new oral Torah. In contrast, for the Sephardim, the situation is actually quite different. For their community, it is almost as if the oral Torah has essentially stopped its development. We truly appreciate your time and attention, and thank you very much for listening. To understand it more in all the 70 facets of the Torah, to interpret it further, how to do, what to do, we only add to our understanding of that oral Torah. So this is the approach of the Beit Yosef. This is the approach of the Rema. So when the Rema came, when his turn came, when he came to interpret the laws, separating Chala, when his turn came, Esther, separating Chala, he heard that our teacher, the Beit Yosef, had written a commentary on the entire Shulchan Aruch, so he hesitated, raised his hand in fear, and then said, no, I'll also write a commentary. I have something to say too. I won't repeat what's been said. He wrote the Rema's commentary on the Shulchan Aruch, serving as the primary decisor for Ashkenazim. Generally, these are the two main approaches, Sephardic and Ashkenazic. This applies to all halakha, including the laws of Purim and how to drink. They drink. Sephardim drink more than usual, while Ashkenazim drink only until they sleep. This applies to everything, even bread blessings like hamotzi or mezonot. It includes sugar or wine-to-water ratios. For Ashkenazim, 16% wine suffices, but Sephardim require over 50% for the Hagafen blessing. For Ashkenazi wine, a Sephardi says shehakol, because per the Beit Yosef, they require higher wine content. For an Ashkenazi, 16% is enough, and this is the case in all matters. For example, a glass cup. A Sephardi can drink from a glass cup on an airplane. For an Ashkenazi, it also absorbs. A porcelain cup, a Sephardi also does not use because it absorbs. For an Ashkenazi, it also absorbs, a glass cup. So you also need to be careful about this on an airplane. We've said this many times. Once we even gave a lesson about it. And students from the yeshiva bought a glass cup, weighed it. It weighed a certain amount. After a year or half a year, they weighed it again, and it weighed more. So yes, it absorbs. The Rama is correct, so it's forbidden. But for the Beit Yosef, this absorption doesn't make it forbidden. For the Rama, it does. Both are words of the living God. All our rabbis' words are divine. Continuing Thursday's lesson on this topic, we'll address the conflict from the Rambam's rise. He says there's no evil in the world. Evil simply doesn't exist. So why is there something that's not good? It's the absence of good. The Rambam's entire perspective, what is evil? When there is an absence of good in a place, then it's difficult, then there are problems. It's the absence of good. According to Kabbalah, it's different. There are external forces, there are shells, there are harmful entities that come to every good thing and try to draw from it and disturb it. These are two different perspectives. The Rambam's approach is based on the absence of good, while Kabbalah speaks of harmful entities, negative forces. And in both of these perspectives, both of them talk about worlds, about realities, about distinctions. In the Gemara's dispute over the Sukkah, various rabbis, including Akiva, debate its purpose. Their differing views elsewhere highlight these contradictions. What is the core of their disagreement? Because of the clouds of glory that were with us in the desert, and therefore we make the clouds of glory. And what do the others say? Because of the Sukkot, for in Sukkot I made the children of Israel dwell, actual Sukkot. Both are the words of the living God. These and those are the words of the living God. And also how a person looks at it, and also the aspect of halacha depends on how you look at it. Also, the aspect of serving God and the aspect of halacha depends on how you look at it, and then you see, these are the words of the living God. These two things are truly the words of the living God. So let's continue. Regarding our whole perspective on Purim, the remembrance that we drink. Why did we start talking about this whole matter in the halakha of the Rema and the Beit Yosef? It's about drinking. Where do we have a halakha that tells us to drink? One is obligated to drink on Purim, Dipiram. The main thing is Job, a lion B. The Gemara states in section B that Rava said one must drink on Purim until unable to distinguish between cursed is Haman and blessed is Mordecai. The Gemara then tells how Rava and Rabbi Zera feasted together and drank heavily. In his stupor, Rava slaughtered Rabbi Zera, but later revived him. The next year, Rava invited him again, but Rabbi Zera declined, saying, "Miracles don't happen every day. You might not revive me next time." Commentators now discuss if the initial rule still applies given this story. Rava said, one is obligated to get drunk on Purim, and that this obligation remains. Does the story in the Gemara where Rava slaughtered Rabbi Zera remove this obligation? There is a dispute about this, but regardless, we are commanded to drink on Purim until falling asleep. For the Megillah, we sanctify the day and recite blessings at the beginning and the end. Mishlosh, manot, these are things we don't have on other occasions. Gifts to the poor, there is a specific commandment to give gifts to the poor. This is a holiday that is unique in its essence. And as the Rambam writes, in the future, all the holidays will be nullified except for Purim. Purim will never be nullified. Purim will never be nullified. Whoever buys a Megillat Esther should keep it, because even when the Messiah comes, we will still use it, we will continue to use it. What is so special about Purim? So we need to understand a major principle, a tremendous principle, which is fundamental for our entire lives. We have memory, we remember things, and memory is not just in our minds where we recall things. Many times we collect things in our minds, in our memory, and many things we determine and decide based on memory. But we need to know that this memory is like excess weight. Just as there is excess weight in the body, there is excess weight in memory. That we did not go to collect from Israel, right? That we did not go to collect from Israel. To the very extent that we did not go to collect from Israel. To the full extent of making a home for myself. especially when they tell me that everything, absolutely everything is planned in the matter of paradise, and that everything above is for the sake of Israel, acting as a guiding compass. We are the ones who decide and make decisions, and that's not good, because this memory misleads us. This memory, which has a hold on our mind, this memory takes us, continuing the life of the past into the life of the future. The mistakes that our parents made, and the grandparents made, and the grandparents of the grandparents made, we take them and continue to make mistakes with them going forward. This memory binds us and ties us, taking the past and attaching it to the future. So, this excess weight of memory in the mind, if a person doesn't clear it from their thoughts, they bring themselves to illness and to mistakes, and to the mistakes that others before them made, perpetuating those mistakes for future generations. Therefore, a person needs to know how to take the heaviness, the unhealthy surplus of memory that they've gathered in their soul, and remove it from themselves. And as long as a person doesn't get rid of this excess memory in their mind, his mind, and in his life, and he doesn't know how to clear it from himself, then he lives as a prisoner to the mistakes of other lives. He continues living in the mistakes that others have made. He keeps repeating those same mistakes, and he lives in error at the very foundation of his life. It's like a room with walls. The walls are the memory, the walls are the intellect. And if you don't know how to take down those walls, this room remains closed, and this room is constantly, it always has walls that you can't get out of. This room, the intellect locks you in, not letting you leave. The intellect operates according to a certain path, a fixed one that you were taught, and it keeps copying it over and over. You don't step outside the boundaries of the intellect, of what you were taught. And if that teaching was mistaken, you remain within those same walls until you break free from them. We've been shouting this for years to our students, to the members of our community, to all the families of Shuv Yisrael. Free yourselves from these walls, because these walls are mental. They are intellectual barriers you inherited from your parents, which are just excess intellect and excess weight in your mind. Free yourselves from this and bring down these walls. The moment these walls come down, the room will still be a room, but it will be open on all sides. Then you can breathe, you can see, you can grow, you can develop, you can do many good things. This intellect is blocking us, the intellect of the mistakes you were taught. The many mistakes that we were taught throughout our lives, those deep-seated mistakes, often block us from doing truly great and good things in the world. So we have the opportunity to change. Thank you very much for listening. And in life, many people have all sorts of negative things that are deeply engraved, permanently etched, and completely closed off in their minds. They live their lives within these narrow confines, never realizing their full potential or the beauty that exists outside of those mental walls. All the time they're stuck in the past, taking the past and arguing, fighting, hating, stealing, and lying, just repeating patterns from the past. You know, we see all kinds of thieves, how sophisticated they act. If they behaved with that kind of sophistication in an honest business, how wealthy they would be. But what do they know? They only know how to steal. They don't know anything else. We start to believe that there are people who just don't know how to go straight. They only know how to steal, only know how to lie, only know how to manipulate. They don't know what it means to go straight. They never learned such a thing. For them, making money means stealing. Use your mind, because later you'll have to deal with difficult things. Focus all your thoughts. Look, you have money, so do something good with it. But no, they steal. There are even people who are supposedly important and great, but they haven't developed the intelligence to learn, to use their minds. They know how to lie, to argue, to create conflict, to do bad things. The world has changed. It's not the same world anymore. It's a changing world. The reality of the world has changed. So memory is something you need to know how to put on a diet in your mind, to shed the excess weight of unhealthy memories from your head. That's one kind of memory. But there's another kind of memory, the memory that's inside a person's body. What does it mean? Memory inside a person's body. Our bodies have many cells. Each cell has its own a few points, and these points are memories. You collect memories. All the cells in a person's body collect memories. If you got hurt, your body instinctively moves away from that spot. Why? Because it remembers that here you got burned. That comes from the cell in your body. It moves. This thing pricked you once, just like animals. How are animals different? They are careful not to fall out the window, careful around fire, careful around the animal that scares them. You avoid that animal that can harm you. Why? Because the cells in your body, actually all of creation, as if God created it, not only have memory in the brain, but also memory in the human body itself. The human body also remembers. When you're hungry, it's not because your brain remembers that you're hungry, but because the cells in your body remember that you need to eat, and they tell you to eat. And when a person starts eating because the memory tells him to eat, he eats and eats and eats and then stops, because the cells remember that you need to eat. They will eat in moderation. With the memory in your head that tells you that you need to eat, you will eat and eat and eat and keep eating and keep going, and you'll end up in poor health. That's the difference between memory. The memory of the body has its boundaries. It knows where it goes. The memory of the mind has no boundaries. When a person operates according to the memory of the mind, there are no boundaries. The mind has no limit. So the memory of the mind is always scheming, always cunning, always trying and wanting, turning here and turning there. That's memory. It happens so automatically, that constant inner voice simply saying, I want. Stop and consider just how many times throughout a single day this thought surfaces, driving your impulses and shaping your choices without you even noticing it. There is a cell in the brain that sends out to the whole body like a substance that tells it, you have now been hurt in the heart. But he wasn't actually hurt in the heart. Notice, most people who say, I took it to heart, don't die from a heart attack. No, why is that? Because it's not the heart, it's the brain that gives the feeling. You feel hurt and think you took it to heart. It's not the heart. The heart has different genes than the brain. The body has different genes and a different memory than what the human body has. The human body is a kind of memory, and the human brain is a kind of memory. These are two different memories, separate from each other. Intellectual memory is dangerous, it's very cunning and lets you reach a pit, then runs away and leaves you to fall. The memory of the body is more honest, and it guides a person to the places they need to go, to what they need. It is not as corrupt as the memory of the mind. It doesn't cunningly hold on to too many things like the memory of the mind does. So what is the commandment of Purim? The commandment of Purim is, remember what Amalek did to you. Remember what Amalek did to you in your mind. That's one. And also, from generation to generation, keep it embedded in your body, because intellectual memory does not stay with you from generation to generation. It entangles you, kills you, and runs away. From generation to generation, keep it in your body. From generation to generation, drink wine so that it enters your body, until you must become intoxicated a bit so that you cannot distinguish between one and the other. Have a feast, give gifts of food to the poor, send food packages, give gifts to the needy, embed it in the genes of your body, in the memory of your body's cells. Internalize what Amalek did to you, not just in your intellectual memory. These are two memories, the memory of the mind and the memory of the body. And the Holy One, blessed be He, commands us regarding both of these things. That's why all the education of children, why do we take the lulav and etrog? Why? To instill it in the memory of the body. Why do we do the entire Seder night with everything that we do? To internalize it so that your son will ask, why is this night different? Why is it reversed? So that it will enter the memory of your body. We blow the shofar, all the actions we do are to instill this memory into our bodies. It's the same with the Holy Shabbat. What is the Holy Shabbat? It is to be a remembrance, a reminder of the act of creation, so that we have this memory in our bodies, so that we have a memory not only in our minds, but also in the body of a person. A person's body also has memory. In a person's body as well, things are inscribed within the body itself. And the body of a person also possesses memory. It's not only the head that has memory. Would any of the righteous like to say something?
So how do you do a restart for the brain, as you just mentioned? The memory in the head and in the body?
Memory in the head is one thing. The brain is a flexible organ. You can always turn your head around. And a person needs to build, to take foundations, to make sure to listen to the Shuva Yisrael lessons that are given. There you'll get guidance for your whole life. And there you'll find advice and ideas on how to develop your mind, how to renew your thinking. In the past, when they used to fix cars, they called it giving the car an overhaul. How do you say that? What is an overhaul?
A general repair. A general repair.
For the head. A general repair for the head, how to set your mind straight. That's life, the forgiveness of the righteous. Someone hit you here, hit you there. You have a lot of bruises on your body. Now, if someone wise touches you, he won't touch you where you're bruised, right? It hurts. He'll come to you somewhere else. What do foolish people do? It hurts you, and they press on the bruise again. Why? This thing hurts him. Let it go. Don't press there again. Don't press on someone where it hurts again. Let it go. A person goes again. Let it go. Go press somewhere else. Be smart. Don't press where it already hurts. Move to another spot. Don't press on the same place that hurts. So that's how life is. A person needs to work on their mindset, not to accept everything, not to listen to everything, to be immersed in Torah, to be innocent, to have fear of heaven, to serve God, to look at things in the right way, to look at things wisely, to see life in a positive light. Who wants to say something? Rabbi Moshe, righteous man.
How can you understand what is happening? Is it from the feeling, from the mind?
Rabbi Moshe, this is hard work. It's work that one must put effort into, where a person needs to do a lot of soul searching and sit and reflect. First of all, a person needs to know themselves. We remember that we used to travel to Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, to the graves of the righteous many years ago, 20-something years ago. We had a driver. May he be remembered for good. He would drive, and he was always completely immersed in the driving. Every time he overtook another car, he was focused, driving and maneuvering quickly. When you ride in a car, we learned a lot of lessons from him about how a person should control their body, just as he controlled the car, how he turned, how he came back, how you overtake a big truck, how you pass, and how you return. So when a person controls the car, you realize what abilities you have to overtake, to return, to control your body. And people have lost control over their bodies. You should know how to control your body. You should know how to control yourself. Who merits kingship? Who attains great things? Whoever knows how to control himself, his limbs, himself, whoever knows how to control himself, he attains greatness. A person who doesn't know how to control himself, how can he attain greatness? How can he attain greatness? A person needs to know how to control himself. Who among the righteous wants to say something else? We thought on Friday, Purim, one of the things we do on Purim, and today there's a lot of talk about our teacher, the Rama. One of the only opinions in all of Halacha is that the Rama says that people dress up as women on Purim. There are those who disagree with him. Avsh talks about this. It's very strict. A man should not wear women's clothing. A man should not wear women's clothing. It is forbidden to wear women's clothing. Even though this is a transgression, in the book of Rabbi Yoshiyahu Pinto, the elder, Kesef Nivchar Mikesef, questions and answers with Rabbi Tjalon and all the greats of his generation, there is a lengthy discussion about women's clothing, what is permitted, how it is permitted. There is a question and answer there about weddings in Damascus, where in Damascus and Lebanon, on the wedding day, to bring joy to the bride and groom, they would wear women's clothing, and Rabbi Yoshiyahu Pinto brings a long and complex discussion on this matter. Regarding this matter, the Rama says that on Purim it is permitted to wear women's clothing, and this does not violate the Torah prohibition stating that a man shall not wear a woman's garment. The Rama explicitly permits this practice for the holiday. Even though we don't understand how the Rama permitted this, still the Rama, our teacher the Rama, permits it. Our teacher the Rama permits this, which is not a simple matter. We taught on Friday, let's look in the Torah. Where do we find costumes in the Torah? Everyone will immediately start thinking, where do we find the costume? Where is the first costume in the Torah?
Jacob and Esau.
Jacob and Esau, the first costume. And what came of it? Yes, Jacob was Jacob, even though they were identical twins. What are identical twins? That they were born in the same gestational sac. When is it not identical twins? That's when they are born in two separate sacs. Identical twins, Jacob and Esau were born in the same gestational sac. And the same gestational sac means identical twins. They are identical. So Jacob and Esau should have been identical. Esau was hairy. How, why, we don't know. In short, that's a topic in itself for those Torah portions. But our forefather Jacob goes and puts on Esau's clothes. In garments of wild animals, Esau's clothes, Jacob goes and puts on Esau's clothes. And then what does the Holy Torah say? That Jacob succeeded in this, the disguise worked. In general, the whole matter of disguises after World War II, they did research. And they asked how, maybe they were good Germans, but how did they go and kill and do such things, extermination camps? Let's leave aside the officers and the people in charge. How did the ordinary soldier do such a thing? So they did research, they put people in a room and told them, press the button, electrocute them. Now, in reality, they weren't actually electrocuting them, but the person inside the room would jump and scream as if he was being electrocuted. And there would be someone standing there saying, electrocute, 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 and they would do it. Afterwards, people said, these are good people. How can they be so cruel as to electrocute someone? So in the studies, they found that when someone in a white coat told someone to electrocute, he did it. When a person in a uniform told someone to do something, he did it. Why? Because the clothes give authority to the person. When a person wears authoritative clothing, a white coat, even just a coat, a white coat, even just any coat, something authoritative, an authoritative piece of clothing comes and tells a person to do something, and the person submits to the authority. The clothing gives meaning to the person to do what he is told. The clothing gives meaning. That's why, after years, a law was made that anyone wearing police, army, or doctor uniforms must also display their name. Why? Because over time, there were people who used authority for good things, and there were people who used authority to do bad things. So the moment you write the name, don't run away. Even if you have authority, you have a name. That's the whole point of having to display the name. Because a person with a garment of authority, there are those who entered into authority and felt themselves to be great people and behaved wisely and kindly, and there are those who took it to bad places. That's also a question. Many people who become religious come and ask, when am I considered like a true Torah scholar? Is it at the beginning of my return to faith or at the end of the process? Certainly, all those who go to prison immediately put on a kippah and tzitzit, so from the start they are guilty, they know they committed the crime. This is one of the signs that a person really committed the crime. If as soon as he enters prison he puts on a kippah and tzitzit, it's a sign that he truly did it. But clothing represents authority, and clothing has power. Clothing influences a person, and clothing gives a person the essence of something else. Whether it's one essence or another, clothing has the power to shape it. When a person dresses like a Torah scholar, when a person dresses as someone who fears heaven, it gives tremendous significance to that person. It has a tremendous influence on a person, and certainly if you start dressing like a Torah scholar, it doesn't mean that this is where you stop the process, that you are done growing and elevating yourself. There are people who think that wearing a hat and suit is the seal, but it's not. You are in a process of development that never ends, and you need to continue it endlessly. So the first instance of disguise that we find in the Torah is our forefather Jacob disguising himself as Esau, and indeed he succeeds. He receives the blessings. May God give you of the dew of the heavens and of the fatness of the earth and an abundance of grain and wine. Nations and peoples will serve and bow to you. Rule over your brothers. Those who curse you are cursed, and those who bless you are blessed. Jacob received this in disguise. The second disguise in the Torah. All right.
Joseph.
Judah and Tamar. Tamar wanted to get married. She wanted Judah. He had 3 sons, Onan, and Shelah. Died, Shelah died, and Judah was afraid to give her Shelah too, lest he also die, thinking she was a deadly woman since 2 men had already died because of her. So what did Judah do? He kept telling her, next week, next month, in 2 months, next year, in 3 months, after the holidays, before the holidays, just making excuses. Tamar grew weary, so she went and sat at the crossroads. Judah thought she was a prostitute, not a good woman. And then, what did she do with the veil? She removed the veil. There is a debate about what it means that she removed the veil, whether it refers to all the time she was in her husband's house or in her father-in-law's house. She used to wear a veil, so he didn't know what she looked like, and suddenly she took off the veil, removed it, and suddenly he saw her. He didn't recognize her. Then he approached that woman, or perhaps she put on the veil, and he didn't recognize her face. This is the disagreement among the commentators. And then Judah did not know who she was. Judah was with her. And from this union, Peretz and Zerach were born. and from there the kingdom of the house of David emerged. We see another story of disguise. Tamar, the wife, Tamar, from whom the mother of royalty came, from there the entire kingdom of the house of David originated. Disguise. This disguise succeeded. Another disguise. Where do we find a third disguise? Chill and Lan. We don't know if this was a disguise. She just came at night. She didn't disguise herself. He simply didn't recognize her. But we don't find any disguise. We don't think there was any disguising. Consider, righteous ones, at the wedding there was darkness they didn't know. You say she gave signs, so she didn't need to be disguised. If she gave signs, then she wasn't disguised. Let's think further. Where else do we see a disguise? Let's suppose Midrashim, Tanakh, Torah, prophets, and writings. Another one.
The king, absolutely out of his mind.
That's not a disguise. He pretended to be crazy. He didn't wear anything. Not a disguise. An actual disguise is when a person dresses up. So maybe we can say she didn't disguise herself. She didn't disguise herself. He said,
Who gave the lesson? That one who came to teach the king as a Gibeonite, as he started telling him things. It was enough for them with the manipulation he did there.
Doeg.
Yes,
It's managed.
Okay, with Midrashim, with everything. With Midrashim, with everything. Another disguise, very strong, righteous. Who? The Gibeonites. When the Gibeonites came to Joshua, son of Nun, and told him, we have come from a distant land, and they said they were far away, but in fact they were Gibeonites. They were Canaanites from the 7 nations. So what did Joshua, son of Nun, do? The Holy Torah actually criticizes Joshua, son of Nun. Why didn't Joshua consult with the Urim and Thummim? But what did Joshua, son of Nun, say? No problem, you came dressed like poor people, so you will be woodcutters and water drawers, simple people, and you will remain as you are. You pretended to be nothing, so you'll remain nothing. So did the Gibeonites' disguise succeed or not? It succeeded and they remained nothing. And if they hadn't succeeded, they would have been killed. So this disguise of the Gibeonites supposedly had some kind of success, but it was a success in which they remained nothing and stayed as they were. And later, King David treated them like mamzerim, illegitimates. Like mamzerim, King David said that the Gibeonites are like mamzerim after what they did with Rizpah bat Aiah, with the 7 descendants of King Saul whom they hanged. The whole story of Rizpah bat Aiah is absolutely terrifying. The entire story of Yoav ben Tzruya, Rizpah bat Aiah, and Avner ben Ner is truly frightening. So a second disguise is found with the Gibeonites, and a third disguise is found with King Saul on the last day before he died. He wanted to inquire of God about what would happen in the battle tomorrow, but no one wanted to answer him. The Urim and Thummim did not answer him. No one answered him. He said to someone who was with him, to one of the people with him, let's disguise ourselves and go to a woman who brings up the dead through necromancy. And King Saul had killed all the people who practiced necromancy. So King Saul said, if I go to a woman who practices necromancy, she'll be afraid. Saul disguised himself, and she summoned the prophet Samuel for him through necromancy. And when she realized that he was Saul, she started shouting, why did you lie to me? Then King Saul told her, I won't do anything to you. And when she saw that he was weak and hadn't eaten all day, she gave him food. He ate, went to battle, and died. But did Saul's disguise work or not? It half worked. She said to him, but she caught him, so it half worked. Where else do we find disguises in the Torah?
Shemida disguised himself as King Solomon.
Midrashim? Gemara. It's not written in the Tanakh. Other disguises, Jeroboam, son of Nebat, when he was sick, he sent his wife to Ahijah the Shilonite. He told his wife, take food and give it to him, maybe he'll bless us. She came, and Ahijah the Shilonite heard the sound of her heels, and said to her, you are the wife of Ahijah the Shilonite, you are the wife of Jeroboam, son of Nebat. He caught her right away, he didn't let it pass. Ahijah the Shilonite was already blind. He heard the heels and said, this is the wife of Jeroboam, son of Nebat. She thought, Jeroboam is in trouble. She would come, give him charity, and he would bless her and bless him. From the sound of the heels, he said, you are the wife of Jeroboam. He no longer had prophecy before the Holy One, blessed be he, that was about to come to him. He also gave commands regarding King David.
He stood tall and spoke with an unwavering sense of authority as he issued his final command to the gathered crowd. Regarding Baal, the deep shimmering blue water,
David didn't receive it this year. He wasn't being deceptive about our father and sister. Clothes affect people. The high priest enters the Holy of Holies wearing special garments. Afterward, he must remove them. They contain shatnez, a forbidden mixture. In a Torah level tzitzit, there is shatnez, wool and linen together. It's only today that we don't use wool and linen together, because in the temple, the high priest would wear garments that contained shatnez. As soon as he finished his service, he had to immediately remove the garments. The clothing of the high priest on Yom Kippur had a significant influence. It affected the priest, it influenced his soul. What is the punishment for?
The speech at the meal of that wicked man.
He wore the garments of the high priest, so for that, yes, they were held accountable. The power of the garments he wore brought them pleasure to sit and eat, and for that comes the punishment.
Clothing affects a person. Clothing has a very, very strong influence. That's why, for example, if a man wears women's clothing, it affects him. It has a big impact on a person. Every garment a person wears has an effect. When someone puts on a kippah, it has an influence. When someone dresses respectfully, modestly, it has an effect. When someone dresses like the Gemara says, the Chatam Sofer says, the color red is not good to wear, it has an influence. These things have an effect. Everything has an influence. A person needs to know everything has an influence, a big impact. As we said, there is memory, a memory that stays in the mind, a memory that stays in the body, and afterwards it's hard to break free from it. A person smokes and they tell him to stop smoking. It's hard for him to quit. A person, God forbid, takes drugs. They tell him to stop, but he can't. A person gets used to behaving a certain way, to being quick-tempered. It's hard for him to break away from it. A person is used to being restless all day. It's hard for him to break away from that. A person is used to being angry all day. A person is used to being sad all day. A person is used to the seasons of the year. One season he's happy, another season he's sad, another season he's despairing, another season he's less happy. It's hard to break free from that. And then a person goes and acquires within himself these negative traits, and it's hard for him to detach from the negative traits he needs to break free from. It's hard to break free from them. And it's a struggle for a person to break free. From the bad things, from the negative things, it's hard for a person to break free from that. Where can you find another costume? The royal queen.
Netzer, but not by his own will. What, a righteous man?
Queen Netzer, but not by his own will. He became, again, we see in the costume, it's the shadow of Ahab. Ahab went to war with the Ammonites, he won, captured the king, and released him. And then a prophet came, not the usual prophets that Ahab had, not Elijah and not Micaiah, but rather a prophet from among the sons of the prophets. As we mentioned a few lessons ago, there were like yeshivas, schools, cheders to study prophecy, to learn how to prepare the body to receive prophecy. So a prophet from among the sons of the prophets came, and this prophet met someone on the street and said to him, "Hit me. Injure me." The man said, "You want to get beaten up? Take a beating." He hit him. Then he put on military clothes and he came to Ahab and said to him, "I came from the war." Ahab asked him, "And what happened?" He said to him, "A soldier gave me a captive and told me to guard him, and if I don't guard him, he'll kill me, but I failed to guard him. He escaped. What is my sentence?" Ahab said to him, "You are deserving of death. You did not guard the captive." The prophet said to him, "Take off the garments and reveal yourself." The prophet said to him, "And God gave you the king of Ammon, and you released him, therefore you are deserving of death." After some time, they went out to war again, and the king of Ammon, whom he had released, this is the lesson: whoever shows mercy to the cruel will ultimately be cruel to the merciful. He told the entire army, "You are not to kill any Jewish soldier, kill only the king Ahab." So Ahab was afraid, but since he had to go out to battle, he disguised himself as someone else. He went out to battle, and a stray bullet, a stray arrow, who did it hit in the heart? Ahab. And that's how he was killed. So that prophet also disguised himself. There's another place we think of with the prophet Zechariah. The prophet Zechariah also tells about people who disguise themselves. We think of a real disguise, that's it.
There are the black oils who will capture Jezebel.
Gemara oil,
The black ones who will capture Jezebel, who disguise themselves as sorcerers. They caught her.
Shimon ben Shetak, Gemara, a righteous Gemara.
Man.
Gemara is Gemara.
Adam Harishon, who is widely known as the very first man.
Disguised as what?
He carefully disguised his entire appearance to avoid being recognized.
He disguised himself. He disguised himself. What we want in the Torah is disguises, and generally, disguises sometimes succeed individually, but most of the time, they fail halfway or fail from the start. Try to be who you are. On Purim, people dress up to influence the soul, but in general, try to be who you are. A person should try to be who he is. Be who you are. Strive to live as yourself. Conduct yourself as yourself. And if you have shortcomings, work on yourself. Always try. Hope in God. Be strong and let your heart be courageous and hope in God. Always strive to improve, to be better, but be who you are. Hillel used to say, if I am here, everything is here. If I am here, if you are. If you grasp yourself, if I am here, if you are yourself. Everyone has their own world. Everyone. There is no person who does not have his moment. Each person has his own reality and his own world. And if you are who you are, then you merit great things. You reach great things. But if you try to be like everyone else and not like yourself, then you are headed in the wrong direction. Here we have what we once told from the book Mishlei Ben Sira about the crow that jumps and why it doesn't walk nicely. Because once it saw the dove walking gracefully, it tried to imitate the dove, tried to walk like the dove, and since then it forgot how to walk straight, and now it just jumps. If you try to imitate others, in the end, you will be neither yourself nor anyone else. Try to be yourself, try to be who you are. On Purim, part of the idea of costumes, we talked about this in previous lessons, is also to influence, to make a change, to bring about a change in things, and so on. Who wants to say something else? There is an idea in dressing up. You could say it's even a mitzvah. Did you dress up last year?
I understand. I take it.
Seriously. It's important to take things seriously. Who among the righteous wants to say something else?
The rabbi said something in the readings. There's an idea to look for a wife. No.
No, we didn't say that. Wait, the Rama, the halakhic authority, the Rama is a unique opinion. Yes. Who among the righteous wants to say something else? Let's ask a question, righteous ones, and try to explain it together. Who do we see in the Megillah, the book of Esther? A person, two distinct individuals, two entirely different people. Take the whole book of Esther. Two people who are completely different from one end to the other. Who are they?
Amnon, Mordecai.
Amnon, Mordecai. Who else? Two people who are completely different. On Friday, we thought to mention another person who is a complete contrast to Esther and to Esther herself. Esther and Esther, these are the two strangest things in the Megillah. You see in them two major transformations. There is Queen Esther at the beginning of her journey. Queen Esther is well-mannered, a good girl, does nothing, doesn't move. They take her to the house of Ahasuerus, and Mordecai tells her not to reveal her people, her land, her birthplace. Esther is obedient, a disciplined girl who doesn't budge, not in the slightest, from what she's told to do. That's one Esther. Everything is going very well until Mordecai, she sees him from the window, tearing his clothes and dressed in sackcloth and ashes. She sends him clothes to wear, but he tells her no. She asks him, what? He tells her, do not think in your heart that you will escape in the king's house more than all the Jews, for if you remain silent at this time, relief and deliverance will arise for the Jews from another place, but you and your father's house will perish. From that moment, Esther is a different woman. She takes initiative, acts, doesn't listen, nothing. These are two different women. The Esther at the beginning of the Megillah is passive, she does nothing. The Esther, from the moment Mordecai tells her, get up and act, do not think in your heart, is a completely different woman. This is a woman whose behavior is impossible to understand. Now comes the well-known question. Queen Esther invites Achashverosh to a banquet. What did she intend to do at the banquet? All right, Achashverosh will come and Mordecai will come, they'll sit and eat, so what's next? After that, what will happen then? They'll eat, they'll drink at the banquet, so fine, she got stuck, didn't know what to do, so they said, come again tomorrow. What will happen tomorrow? So there's a Gemara in Traktat Megillah, page 15b, that says, the Gemara says, the rabbis taught. What did Esther see that made her invite Haman? What did she see? The Gemara asks, Queen Esther, what did she see that made her invite Haman? What was her plan? Why did she invite Haman? For what purpose did she invite him? What was her plan? Rabbi Eliezer says, she set a trap for him, as it is said, let their table before them become a snare. Rabbi Eliezer says, she set a snare for him, she laid a kind of trap for him. It's as if there are many people who invite others to eat, to sit together for Shabbat dinner. They invite people to eat, give them food and drink, smile at them, everything. Tell them to invest money with them and then steal their money. She set traps for him. This is it. They invite people for one Shabbat, a second Shabbat, a third Shabbat, 5 Shabbats, and then they say, invest, let's invest from the food from the table at the Shabbat table. She set traps for him, set a snare so that he would invest, and then the person lost his money. So Queen Esther set traps for him. She set a snare for him to come to the feast, and there she would see how to act, entangle him, and figure out what to do with him. Rabbi Eliezer says, she set traps for him. What Queen Esther did to Haman, she brought him to eat, and there at the feast, in the midst of the meal, she gave him food and set a trap for him, figuring out how to take from him, what to do with him. This is Rabbi Eliezer's reasoning. Rabbi Yehoshua says, she learned it from her father's house, as it is said, if your enemy is hungry, feed him bread. Rabbi Yehoshua says, what did Esther do? She learned this from her father's house, from her ancestors. If your enemy is hungry, if you have someone who hates you, eating or bread, for you are feeding him coals. If someone does you harm, hates you, give him food, give him drink, treat him well. He hates you, but if you give him gifts, he will let go of the hatred. We remember many years ago, we used to live in Ashdod in area Yud Aleph, and the yeshiva was in the house, and there were big problems with the neighbors. They would say they came to take over the neighborhood, they want to turn the neighborhood into a Haredi neighborhood. And then we said, what can we do with them? Nothing helped, not talking. Who wants Haredi? What's all this hatred? Where does all this hatred come from? What's all this hatred? And then one day we decided to open up everything we had at home, plates, cups, everything in the house, and give it to the neighbors as a gift. We knocked on the neighbors' doors. The rabbi is sending you plates, the rabbi is sending you a kiddush cup, the rabbi is sending you menorahs. And from that day on, they left us alone. If your enemy is hungry, give him food and bread. If your enemy is hungry, feed him and give him bread. For by doing so, you are heaping coals upon him. Feeding him and giving him bread is like heaping coals upon him. So Rabbi Yehoshua says, if she learned from her father's house, if your enemy is hungry, Rabbi Meir says, so that he will not take counsel and rebel. Rabbi Meir, the opinion of Rabbi Meir is so that he will not take counsel and rebel. Let's continue. Rabbi Yehuda says so that he will not recognize in her that she is Jewish. Rabbi Yehuda says, now they issued a decree to kill all the Jews. So she said, and Esther did not reveal her people or her lineage. She was afraid that they would discover she was Jewish and that she too would have to be killed. So she made a feast to show that we are the same, we are together, we will eat together, we will drink together, all of us together, to show him that we are friends, eating together. A banquet with the king together, so that he would not suspect that she was Jewish. That is why she invited him to the banquet. And Malchamiah says, so that Israel would not say, we have a sister in the king's house, and thus turn their minds away from seeking mercy. Rav Nehemiah says an incredible explanation. Many times a person says, I have connections there, my friend is there, my uncle is there, my aunt is there, my grandmother is there, and she will speak for me and he will speak for me, and we have connections. And then a person prays less. Rav Nehemiah said, what did Queen Esther do? Everyone knew, all the Jews knew that Esther was in the king's palace, and surely Esther would speak to the king and change everything, in order that the Jews would not rely on this, so that they would think, look, Esther has abandoned us, she went to be friends with Haman, she eats with Haman, so that they would stop believing in her, stop putting their trust in her. And the moment they stopped putting their trust in her, they would begin to pray to the Holy One, blessed be he. So she did this intentionally, so that they would stop relying on her and put their trust in the Holy One, blessed be he. Rabbi Yossi says, so that he will always be available to her. She says, he will be at my disposal. If I suddenly decide to stab him with a knife to do something, he will be within her reach. He will be under my control. I see where he is. I know where he is. These are not easy days. You have to keep an eye open for the enemy. Many times, let the enemy go wherever he wants. He has nothing left to do. He can shout, go up, go down, do whatever he wants. And sometimes you need to keep a watchful eye to know your enemy, know what he is doing. There are times when you need to see what he is doing, and there are times when he is already hanging by the throat. Let him go up, go down, shout, do whatever he does, he is already hanging by the throat. Rabbi Shimon ben Menashe says, perhaps the Almighty will notice and perform a miracle for us. Rabbi Yeshua ben Menashe says, she said, it's good that we are sitting there at the meal, perhaps the Almighty will notice and perform a miracle for us. One could give many sermons about this. We once gave a sermon about it, but fine, let's leave it at that. Rabbi Yeshua ben Kocha says, she showed him a pleasant face so that he would kill both him and her. Rabbi Yeshua ben Menashe says she would show him a pleasant face so that Achashverosh would suspect both of them, that there was some kind of connection between them, and he would kill them both. And this is what is meant by, if I perish, I perish, that she went on a path of self-sacrifice so that Achashverosh would suspect there was some connection between Esther and Haman and would kill them. Rabban Gamliel says he was a fickle king. What does it mean that he was a fickle king? All right. Rabban Gamliel said, we still need to learn, as it is taught. Rabbi Elazar Hamudai said, my father was a king out of jealousy. The Gemara brings many explanations about what Esther did, why Esther invited Achashverosh and Haman to the feast. Of everything we've said, what is the truth? What is the reasoning? Why did she invite him? What is the reasoning? Why did she invite him? So the commentators say that all the explanations are correct. All of them. She considered everything together. This one and that one, everything our sages said. The Gemara says Elijah the prophet met him and asked what Esther really did. He answered that she planned everything the sages mentioned. She had all of these specific things in her mind and in her thoughts. Now let's state a tremendous principle that everyone should take to heart. This is a principle from the Ohev Yisrael of Apta. On Yom Kippur and Rosh Hashanah we say, we have sinned, we have betrayed, we have robbed. We strike ourselves for all the sins we've committed. We go over everything. One of the things we strike ourselves for when we say the confession, we say, we ask the Holy One, blessed be He, for forgiveness for the thoughts of our hearts. For things we have sinned, for the thoughts of our hearts. What does thoughts of the heart mean? So what does each of us immediately think thoughts of the heart means? That we had bad thoughts in our hearts, thoughts of sin, to do something wrong. That's what thoughts of the heart means.
That the thought
Of sin isn't worse than the sin. The Ohev Yisrael adds another key principle. What does it mean for the heart's thoughts? Often one intends to do a mitzvah or to do some good business deal. But a person is blocked. He says, I won't do it, I won't succeed. Who says it's even good? And in the midst of all the confusion in his head, he stops and doesn't do it. So the Ohev Yisrael from Apta says, what does it mean regarding thoughts of the heart? It refers to the good thoughts in our hearts about things we didn't end up doing, things we should have gotten up and done. That business we should have started but didn't because we had all kinds of fears, lack of motivation, lack of self-will, and lack of recognition within myself that I am capable of doing something. About the thoughts of the heart, the things we should have gotten up and done but didn't. This is what we ask forgiveness for, not just for the negative thoughts we had, but also for the good things we thought about but didn't do. So thoughts of the heart include everything. Queen Esther, all the things the sages say, she had all of them in her heart, thinking about Haman, and in the end all those thoughts succeeded in one, and Haman fell. So this is the sin we sinned with thoughts of the heart. What are thoughts of the heart? The things we need to do. Every urge in a person's heart, get up and do it. No, I won't succeed. Try. I can't. Get up and do it. It's in your head, it's in your power. But everyone is blocked by all the walls they've built around themselves, thinking they can't do anything. How long is the lesson, Tzaddik? Who among the righteous wants to say something else?
Rabbi,
Beloved and dear Emmanuel, the righteous one, the special one, Rabbi Emmanuel, prepare the
Standing before the imposing wooden structure, he looked up at the cross and spoke with genuine wonder in his voice, asking, Tell me, Lebon, what is the actual process you follow to prepare such a massive and significant cross as this? It looks like it requires an incredible amount of craftsmanship and careful effort to get every detail just right.
Zayin Adar to come to Moshe Rabbeinu. How is it really possible that this day won't just pass us by and quickly? Rabbi Emmanuel, everything requires mental preparation. A person needs to prepare himself mentally for every matter in life. To work on the mind, to prepare oneself mentally, to internalize it. Yes, there are things where suddenly there is an awakening from above, but a person needs daily work. Rabbi Akiva says, all my life I waited for this moment. On Zayin Adar, a person needs to know that this is an immense power, the book of Deuteronomy. A power through which a person can achieve tremendous things. A person sees success, failure, good, bad, I gained, I didn't gain. Things are also built for the long term. Things are not only... One of the damages of this generation is that everyone thinks here and now, immediately. Not so. things are also for the long term. Successes are also for the long term. The things that penetrate a person's soul are for the long term. A person needs to look at life in the long term. The 7th of Adar doesn't just arrive and that's it. Here's the day. What do we do this morning? Rather, from now, from Rosh Chodesh Adar, every day, prepare yourself, think, strengthen, speak. I believed, therefore I spoke. Whenever a person speaks words of encouragement, he is strengthened. Then a person merits and reaches great things. Who wants to ask what he said?
Regarding God's service, there's a dispute between the Beit Yosef and the Rama on Purim wine consumption. Many sages, like Keter Rosh in the name of Yavo Negon, Yisrael Salanter, and the Holy Ari, drank more than the Beit Yosef requires.
What?
And those who want more wine than what is written in the Beit Yosef, always the people.
Each person, after all, what is the whole purpose of drinking wine according to Kabbalah? That in everything there is a spark of holiness. In everything, in every single thing, there is a spark of holiness. And you give life to them all. You give life to them all. And this was the mistake of all the wicked ones, like Shabtai Tzvi and like Jacob Frank, who thought that they needed to descend into impurity in order to elevate the holiness from there. And why did the Vilna Gaon wage such a great battle against Hasidism with everything that they brought in the Tanya? Because the Vilna Gaon was afraid that Hasidism also, so to speak, goes downwards and there it is possible to make mistakes. But Hasidism stopped this, going downwards, not to go downwards, meaning there are certain things that are not touched. The Maggid of Mezrich taught that even bad thoughts contain a spark, a lesson for the great. Similarly, on Purim, we find a good spark within Amalek, like Haman's descendants studying Torah in Bnei Brak. By drinking until you cannot distinguish cursed is Haman from blessed is Mordecai, you extract that holy spark from within Amalek. Would any of the righteous like to add something?
A worthy point, a point. So what is called wisdoms? So he says you could say you need to look for artists, from Negev, an expert, a master craftsman, but instead he takes people who have no idea because of arrogance. They're not craftsmen and not weavers. Wisdoms.
At what age was Bezalel son of Uri? 13. Bezalel son of Uri began building the tabernacle. At what age was he? 13 years old. A 13-year-old boy. And even Moses thought that Bezalel was greater than him, because Moses said to build the vessels, the ark and the tabernacle. This is written in the portion of Kitisa, and in the portion of Teruma it is written that the Holy One, blessed be he, says, tabernacle, vessels, and ark. So Moses thought like the first, vessels, ark, and tabernacle. Then Bezalel said to him that when a person builds a house, he first builds the house, and only afterwards prepares the vessels and brings them in. Perhaps the Holy One, blessed be he, told you so? Moses said to him, perhaps you were in the shadow of God, Bezalel, for indeed that is what God told me. Bezalel merited tremendous things, great things at the age of 13. Abraham sent wise craftsmen to him.
Of the craft, Abraham Benal explained. He says, what does it mean to take someone with another heart? He says, someone who is diligent and says he can do the work, that is more important than a craftsman. A craftsman may come to do the work and it will turn out complicated. An inheritance may take 30 years, but this I do not know.
A person needs the will. Once there was a great war, and the president called the army commander and asked him, what are the odds that we will win the war? He told him, 50-50. Not a good situation. He went outside and shouted, all the army commanders told me we have an 80% chance of winning. The army commander said to him, 5 minutes ago you asked me and I told you 50-50. How are you suddenly saying 80? He told him, no, I added the people's dedication to the goal, their desire to win. That's another 30%. So it's 80, not 50-50. When you add the will, the strength, there is a great, great strength. People have tremendous inner power. Hidden within every person are immense forces, and the person doesn't know what is hidden inside himself. If each of us would get up, shake off the apathy, and bring out the strengths within each and every one of us, where could we all reach? We don't use even a small percentage of the potential that each of us has, but everyone carries the burden of their own ideas, and everyone has their own intellect and experiences. That his mother raised him, and his grandmother, and his aunt, and what people will say, and how they'll say it, and how much they'll say, and everyone is wrapped in all kinds of layers upon layers, and everyone is in some sort of a predicament. and within a framework where whenever someone tries to move, they get hit from one side, then from another, and so a person can't move anywhere, dealing with friends, dealing with family, dealing with relatives, dealing with enemies, dealing with everything. A person needs to be wise. All of life is built in such a way that everything is complex. In every wise person, there is a fool. In every wise person, there is a fool. Because many times, in order to do something wise, you have to do something foolish. That's the wisdom. Every wise person has a fool within, and every wicked one has a righteous side. Even the worst murderers can be great philanthropists. Thus, in every wicked person, there is also a righteous one. In every righteous person lives a lawbreaker. Why? Because to be righteous, he must disrupt Israel. Every person holds both. And if you don't know how to overcome the bad part and turn it into a driving force for good, who is a hero? He who conquers his inclination, then you won't end up in a good place. In everything, there are two sides, and you need to take both directions and strengthen the correct and true direction for the best form. Who wants to say anything? What the rabbi says all the time about studying the book of the law.
In the suburbs.
You hear us constantly saying to read the book of Deuteronomy. And you haven't heard a reason? We always attach the reason to it.
Could it be through another person? I mean, like, what is even going on here anyway?
Yes, righteous people. So they will also tell you the reason. If they don't say it, they're not doing it right. I have a friend.
Greetings, as a dedicated student of the rabbi. He's always the one who asks first.
Who is it? The rabbi,
Mr. Daniel.
Rabbi Daniel the righteous. So tell him that he should immediately tell you the reason. Gal Yosef from Israel, a righteous man of the world. Be very close.
To him, Kuzan was just talking about the rabbi.
Colosseum. We love him very, very much. A righteous man, a special world, a special Gal Yosef. Special love for him, a love that does not change. Israel's settlement is Torah, a path and a vision for life. It is a different set of glasses. Now do you understand what the settlement of Israel is? It's a perspective, it's a different perception, and also the people of the settlement of Israel have a different perception in the world. They think differently about the world, they speak differently, they think differently, they're sharp. They have a different approach. Well, righteous ones, Rabbi Moshe,
But is it possible to get some practical advice? How to overcome the coverings of the heart when a person already has a covering? Something practical?
it depends on what. You should know the big rule in life is that there are no rules. And you need to know for everything how, what. For example, a person who has anxieties, fears, and it's already ingrained within him, or a person who has any trait. Every trait needs to be worked on one by one. There is no general rule. There is no pill you can swallow and suddenly become righteous. There is no pill you can swallow that straightens your mind into the right shape. Again, you have to go trait by trait and dismantle it. You have to go trait by trait and dismantle it. That's the entire book of the Ramchal Mesilat Yesharim. That's the book. Every Jew needs to live by the Ramchal, by Mesilat Yesharim, moment by moment. The caution leads to that. First, you have to start with caution in everything, to move forward step by step. How and how and how. This is it. We live in a world, if we really look at life, there is no true training for the soul of every Jew on how to conduct oneself. There is some kind of assembly line. You take the child to kindergarten, to cheder, and so on, more or less an assembly line. And then a person goes out to face life, and life is not simple. And to come afterwards and fix those things, that's not a simple matter. At Shuva Yisrael, we try. The lessons we give are meant to go deeper into a person's mind, into a person's soul, into Torah, into Halakha. We try to wrap everything together, Halacha, Mishnah, Kabbalah, Musar, to bring it all together. But it's nice, people are able to listen to it. It's nice, it's pleasant, and you can go on. But you need to internalize every single thing. You need to take each lesson and treat it like someone who went to the market and filled a bag with all kinds of vegetables and fruits. But you have to put the tomatoes in one place, the cucumbers in another, the carrots in another. After every lesson, a person needs to sit down and organize everything in its proper place. And in the lessons, we try to put everything together, but you need to know how to put each thing in its proper place. Because if you mix things together, that's not allowed. Things shouldn't be mixed. What is shatnez? The Rambam says something truly wondrous. The Rambam asks, what is shatnez? The Rambam's whole approach is different. The Rambam says shatnez is forbidden. Why? Because the Gentiles used to plant wheat and raisins together in the ground, and they believed there was some special property in this that would make it grow better. Therefore, since this is a custom of the Gentiles, we are forbidden to do it. This is the Rambam's opinion. The Rambam says, why is it forbidden to shave the head with a razor and so on? The Rambam explains that priests used to shave in this way, so because they shaved like that, it is forbidden for us to do so, since it is a custom of the Gentiles, idolatry. According to Kabbalah, it's a different perspective. According to Kabbalah, why is it forbidden to wear shatnez? So the Holy Zohar says, what are kilayim, forbidden mixtures? The Holy Zohar says there is one type of grass, one tree, that grows and multiplies quickly, putting down roots rapidly and so on, and there is another type of grass that grows slowly and has a harder time. If you plant the one that spreads quickly next to the one that spreads more slowly, then it is imprisoned. From the word kilayim, forbidden mixtures, it is like being in prison. By trapping it, the Torah forbids one flourishing at the other's expense, hence joining them is forbidden. This isn't the Kabbalistic or Maimonidean view, the custom of the Gentiles, the laws of the Gentiles. Everything, every single thing is a world unto itself. So now, a person do not plow with an ox and a donkey together. This animal runs fast, this animal runs slowly, so it cannot express itself. The Torah wants each one to express itself, for each one to speak for itself, for each one to bring itself to expression, for each one to realize its own potential. That is what the Holy Torah wants. We are truly righteous and honorable.
Rabbi, I have a question. Rabbi, you spoke about matters of the heart, that if a person wanted to do something and didn't succeed, then we even feel regret about that. But today we read in the rabbi's essay about the 4 meals that what belongs to a person he has.
Sure, but one must
do. And the rabbi gave the parable of that poor man who went to the door and then they whistled at him.
True, but a person still needs to try. A person shouldn't say, you should make an effort. A person doesn't just sit at home and say, I'll sit and do nothing. You should make an effort. Get up, do, fight, make an effort. Don't say, when I have time, I will study. You won't have time. A person should hope in God, be strong, and He will strengthen you. A person needs to make an effort. Wait, just a minute. With all his strength, we are righteous. Rabbi, does this worker need to behave a bit differently because of the war, or?
Rabbi, does Purim need to be observed a bit differently this year because of the war, or on Purim itself?
On Purim, with God's help, by then there will be a great salvation for the people
of the state of Israel.
By then there will be a great salvation. We also think about the Holocaust, stories of people who celebrated Purim during the Holocaust. Even when people were killed, they still celebrated Purim. Of course, we must remember all those whose blood was shed and the extremely difficult things that happened. Certainly every day we must. One cannot. It's not like the Gemara tells that when Beta was destroyed, half the city was still eating, drinking, and rejoicing, while the other half was destroyed. No, we must feel the pain of every single Jew. It is certainly not a simple matter at all. Rabbi Ariel, a highly respected and righteous man, this week's Torah portion, let's say something brief. We see that the Holy One, blessed be He, commanded. The Holy One, blessed be He, commanded to build the tabernacle. How long did it take to build the tabernacle? They began building it the day after Yom Kippur, when Moses descended from the heavens. In 3 months, they finished building the entire tabernacle, and then another 3 months. On the 25th of Elul, on the 25th of Kislev, they finished building the tabernacle. From the end of Yom Kippur, they started collecting the money until the 25th of Kislev. They finished building the tabernacle, but they assembled it on the 1st of Nisan. It took 3 months to finish building, and for 3 months it lay unused. Then the mockers of the generation, like the mockers who always talk, came and said, Moses stole the money, and that's why the divine presence does not rest upon the tabernacle. They had some sort of accusation, you could say, that Moses stole the money. Why? Because Moses was poor. When all the Jews left Egypt, everyone went to collect money from the Egyptians, but Moses, wise of heart, chose to fulfill a mitzvah and went to collect the bones of Joseph. He didn't take anything. Besides, the tribe of Levi was forbidden to take anything because they did not work during the Egyptian bondage, except for Korach, who took all of Pharaoh's treasure, but Moses didn't take anything. Now, when Moses went up the second time with the tablets of the covenant, Moses carved the tablets from his own tent, from his own house. There, in one of the walls, the Holy One, blessed be he, told him, "Carve for yourself 2 tablets of stone." Moses carved 2 stones, and they were for you to carve. As it were, there were precious stones there, sapphires all around, and from there Moses would take them. Now Moses took the tablets, went up to the heavens for 40 days, and came down on the night after Yom Kippur. Suddenly, on that night after Yom Kippur, when he came down, people saw that he was wealthy, and on that very day, everyone started donating money. So, what did everyone say? A conclusive proof? God forbid Moses stole. Suddenly, people started saying that Moses gained weight, that he got fatter, that his belt was thicker. They began to speak slander about Moses. And as if he was 100% clean, he had nothing. He went up to the heavens, and what? Did they give him money in the heavens? They didn't give him money. He came back down. They didn't know what he had in his tent, and suddenly the next day, Moses is handing out charity. He has money. They said, like, today we started donating. Today he came down, and today he became rich, so he must have stolen the money. That's also why the Mishkan wasn't built. Because God doesn't want to let the divine presence dwell there, since Moses supposedly took money. And on Rosh Chodesh Nisan, the Holy One, blessed be he, said, now build the Mishkan. Moses set up the Mishkan. Moses would touch a board, and the board would rise. Another board would rise. Moses erected the Mishkan. Why did the Holy One, blessed be he, wait all this time? Our holy sages say, the Midrash says, the Holy One, blessed be he, said the month of Nisan is the month in which Isaac was born, and Isaac offered his neck to be slaughtered on the altar. This is the fitting month in which the Mishkan should be built, so that the offerings will be recognized there. And what is the significance of the neck? The neck is compared to the temple, as it is written, your neck is like the Tower of David, built with turrets. This neck is likened to the temple. It is written that when Benjamin and Joseph met, he wept on Joseph's neck and on Benjamin's neck on the neck, which refers to the first and second temples that were destined to be destroyed. So did the Holy One, blessed be he, delay the tabernacle until the month of Isaac's neck, and as our holy sages say, the Holy One, blessed be he, preferred a place where there was self-sacrifice over a place where there was Torah. Self-sacrifice carries more weight than the Holy Torah. Self-sacrifice. A person who gives of himself for the sake of mitzvot, for good deeds, who sacrifices himself to give charity, who sacrifices himself to study Torah, who sacrifices himself for Torah scholars, who sacrifices himself for holy matters. This, many times, carries more weight than Mount Sinai, more than the Torah itself. With God's help, we bless from the depths of our hearts a person who is beloved and dear to us, a true friend who sacrifices himself for the entire people of Israel, Rabbi Abiram Dahari. May the Holy One, blessed be he, with God's help, bless Rabbi Abiram so that in the elections he faces today, he will have great success. With God's help, all the people of Shuvah Yisrael are blessed, all of you. The merit of the forefathers will protect you. Devote yourselves wholeheartedly. The merit of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai and Moshe Rabbeinu will bring everyone great success and ensure that he becomes the mayor, with God's help. Good news, salvation, joy, and great success. That's it, righteous ones. Rabbi Emmanuel, is that it, righteous ones? Do you want the tzaddik to say something else? Rabbi Emmanuel is holy of holies. There is no one like Rabbi Emmanuel. He is unique and special. He and his wife and his entire family are remarkable people. There are no qualities and no uniqueness like theirs, no devotion, no good heart, no fear of heaven. Everything about them is good. Rav Chaim, at the beginning of the week,
This was truly a remarkably precious and ancient vessel, serving as a significant guest of spiritual renewal and profound transformation for everyone involved.
a precious vessel, a precious vessel, a precious vessel. It's truly terrifying, a precious vessel.
This is a statement in the same style about all kinds of people who come into the field with a drill.
Excuse me, tzaddik, where are you going? Go back to your seat. You didn't come to express your opinion, you came to study Torah. Go back to the chair. Yes, righteous?
We saw that there was a very common style with the Nefeli Yaakov and the Holy Light of Life, who spoke about the styles of people who, when one comes to the Holy Realm, when one says the realm of God, then sometimes there is, Yaakov said, actually sometimes there is one who donates, then God will see him as a donor, So he jumps onto the ship, but actually, if he hadn't done that, he wouldn't have done it at all in his life. So he asks if it's denied,
that he allowed himself to faint, because actually it was a kind of deception. He didn't do it on his own, he did it because he saw someone else doing it. And where is the line, Honorable Rabbi, where a person sometimes needs to awaken in his heart to understand that he is actually in the middle of the sea, and sometimes he is given.
And in the manual, we see a righteous person in the Torah. They came to Moses and said to him, the people are giving too much. What does it mean, giving too much? The people are giving too much, and do you know what miracle happened there? Normally, to build a cup, you need a certain amount of glass, but the people gave much more. The Holy One, blessed be He, performed a miracle so that this cup, even with more gold, was built with it. Do you understand? The people are giving too much, but whatever extra they gave was used for what was needed. Whatever extra they gave, that's the spirit of the Holy One. Now, righteous one, let me say something that we will talk about so that it will be for your success. With God's help. In several places it is written in the Torah, there is no fear of God in this place, or God-fearing. Abraham, our father, said, because there is no fear of God in this place, and they killed me. Then Joseph spoke directly to his brothers and told them clearly, I revere and honor God. When the brothers came to him, he said to them, I fear God. Regarding those dedicated midwives,
And they feared God.
and they saw God, according to the commentators who say that the midwives were not Yocheved and Miriam, but rather two Gentile women, Shifra and Pua. And they saw God. Where is the fourth place where we see fear of God? So what is fear of God?
Where is it located?
In the Torah.
No, it's
Psalms. What is fear of God? What is fear of God? What is fear of God? What is Joseph telling the brothers when he says he fears God? That he fears God? What does Abraham, our father, see when he notices that place has no fear of God? What is fear of God? What is fear of God? What does it mean that the midwives feared God? What is fear of God? What is fear of God? What does fear of God mean? What is fear of God? What is the meaning of fear of God? What is fear of God? What is fear of God? Is fear of God swaying back and forth? What is fear of God? Is fear of God shouting, dancing? What is fear of God? Rabbi Yitzhak, what is fear of God? He fears God.
he sees God.
Before him. Let's write this in the book of Chronicles, commentary. Very good that he sees God before his eyes. Good. What is it? What then? Does Abraham, our father, see that Abimelech does not see God? What is fear of God?
In the specific event that
If you are afraid, if you are afraid, you don't experience pleasure. What is fear of God? Fear of God. What is fear of God? What is fear of God? He fears, he instructs God. I have heard your name, I was afraid. What does I was afraid mean? What is one who fears God? What is fear of God? We thought to say a major principle, that fear of God. What is expected of us regarding the midwives' fear of God? Egyptians, what fear? Who is more devout? Who is greater? The tribes see Joseph. What kind of Egyptian? What kind of viceroy? What kind of Egyptian is he in his heart? Do you know what a Jew thinks about Abraham, our forefather, regarding Abimelech? Do you know what Abraham thinks about Abimelech? A Jew knows what he thinks about someone else. So what is this fear of God? What is this fear of God? Perhaps we can say that this fear of God is not the fear of God in the sense that I am afraid of God, or that the non-Jew is afraid of God, but rather, beloved is man who was created in the image of God. Every person has something from that image, and that image is the morality that every human being possesses, the minimal morality, the universal morality that should exist among people. And this is, beloved is man who was created in the image of God. Every person, whether Jew or non-Jew, was created in the image. And this image, some minimal morality, must exist within him. And when a person lacks this minimal morality, when there is no sense of I fear God, that is a great danger. Whether in a Jew or in a non-Jew, Joseph says, I fear God. Let's say God, but what is my share of divinity from? The image of beloved is man who was created in the image. So I preserve this minimal morality. Abraham, our father, sees that Abimelech doesn't even have this minimal morality, so he says, I'm not staying here. The midwives see that being told to kill children is not minimal morality. They say, we will not listen to the king. The minimal morality is that, beloved is man who was created in the image. Now go. Good week, righteous ones, look, and now you are not going. We love everyone with great love. May God protect you, make you happy. Thank you very much to his honor. Thank you very much. May he watch over you. Awe and joy and an oath and success.